Welcome in, everyone. I hope you guys are doing great wherever you're watching from today. I'm filming this on April 15th. We've got a little bit of an update from the video we made earlier today, which talked about the fighter jets that were soaring through the skies of Iran. I thought they were Pakistani jets for the Pakistani delegation. New information indicates actually Iran is scrambling their fighter jets. That is right. Iranian fighter jets are in the air after it was believed that the United States had completely destroyed all their fighter jets. So a huge development there. Plus, we've got updates with negotiations. So we got a lot to get into before we get into it. As always, please make sure to like and subscribe. Totally free. Cost you guys nothing at all. A huge boost to the channel. What do you think about the fact that Iran... seemingly, we didn't get all their fighter jets. Their fighter jets are up in the air during the ceasefire. Let me know in the comments below. Hit the notification bell. All notifications turned on. You won't miss a thing. And then Instagram, David_Hookstead, XD Hookstead. That's where you can find me on social media. My DMs are wide open. Reach out with whatever you got. Now let's get into it. So earlier today, there were reports that fighter jets were all over the skies of Iran. Like I said, there were some Pakistani officials going to Iran. So I believed, much like when they had the negotiations in Islamabad and Pakistan sent fighter jets into Iran, I thought that those were likely Pakistani jets escorting the Pakistani delegation. Because remember, we had been told in no uncertain terms that every plane in their Air Force had been destroyed. The whole Air Force was gone. Not one plane worked. We saw all the videos that were released of all the planes being blown up. Turns out they've got at least some fighter jets left because multiple Iranian fighter jets scrambled and swarmed the skies of Tehran on April 15th, including the F-4 Phantom and Russian-supplied MiG-29s, which means either the Russians brought in new MiGs. They definitely didn't bring in F-4s, as that's an old American plane they have from pre-revolution. But right here, you can see on the screen, this is the F-4 Phantom. That's an Iranian F-4 Phantom scrambling in the sky. So right there, that gives you a real good look at it. That is an F-4 Phantom. It is armed. It has bombs and missiles on it. So that is one of the F-4 Phantoms the Iranians had from back when the Shah was in power. They kept those F-4s when the new theocratic dictatorship took over. Clearly not destroyed. Clearly more than able to get into the sky and fly, which indicates that they absolutely have fighter jets that are 100% operational, and they have the ability to arm them. So that's a great look at it. The underbelly of the plane right there. That is a MiG-29. That is not an F-4. That is a MiG-29, which is a much more advanced fourth-generation fighter jet. And that is another look at the MiGs. So we now know that they have some F-4 Phantoms and MiG-29s left. Now, when you ask what is a MiG-29, it's still not nearly as close to anything the U.S. has, but this is it. It's a twin-engine fighter aircraft designed by the Soviet Union, developed by the Mikoyan Design Bureau as an air superiority fighter during the 1970s. The MiG-29, along with the larger Sukhoi Su-27, was developed to counter U.S. fighters such as the F-15 and the F-16. Right here, went into production in 1981 until 2019. We do not know if the MiGs were supplied after we blew up their Air Force by Russia, or if we failed to hit them. So this is what a MiG-29 looks like right there. That's perfect look with its afterburners on. Right there is a look at a MiG-29's weapon capabilities. So we now know for sure that Iran still has fighter jets after we were told over and over again all their planes were gone. So they either hid these things deep underground, which we know they do, and then they brought them out once the ceasefire happened, or Russia got them new MiGs after the ceasefire started. It is unclear. Now, a fascinating report from the Wall Street Journal saying that Iran's new national security chief, Mohammad Bagher Zolgadar's views were so extreme that one of his subordinates, Qasem Soleimani, the notorious Quds Force leader later killed by the U.S., temporarily quit in protest. The headline, Iran's regime has changed for the worse. The U.S.-Israeli attack fast-tracked the ascent of hardliners and apocalyptic religious followers. Now, I told you when the ceasefire was announced, that Tuesday, not this past Tuesday night, the one before, I spoke to you all very clearly. And I said the most hardline people in the country are now running the whole show. The moderates, moderate by Iranian levels, they're gone. They're gone. A lot of people didn't believe me. A lot of people said, no, trust the plan. It is working. Well, now, 8 days later, the Wall Street Journal is coming out and saying, no, actually, the craziest people in the country are in charge of the country, what is exactly what I told you last Tuesday when the ceasefire went into effect, and clearly there are serious concerns. Soleimani was an insane person, insanely evil. How evil do you have to be to where he's offended by the things you're doing to the point he's willing to quit and protest? That is next level evil. So these people are lunatics who are currently running Iran. Now, speaking of, actually, let me get this teed up real quick. So speaking of negotiations and who's running Iran, the Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesperson Ismail Baghaei says the level and scope of nuclear enrichment are open to negotiation, something that previously they said they would not negotiate. Now, keep in mind, you can't trust these people at all. Can't trust them even a little bit. So they can say this publicly, and then when they get to the meeting table, they probably won't negotiate at all. But now they are claiming they are willing to negotiate. And on that, there are some comments from Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt. I'll speed these up just a little bit, talking about that. Remember, there was the report that there might be an extension of the ceasefire. She is outright denying that. Let's watch.
Yeah, so I saw some reporting, again, bad reporting this morning, that we had formally requested an extension of the ceasefire. That is not true at this moment. We remain very much engaged in these negotiations, in these talks. You heard from the Vice President directly and the President this week that these conversations are productive and ongoing, and that's where we are right now. I've also seen some reporting about the potentiality for in-person discussions again. Those discussions are being had, but nothing is official until you hear it from us here at the White House. But we feel good about the prospects of a deal. The President mentioned that in his interview yesterday, and it's obviously in the best interest of Iran to meet the President's demands. I think he's made his red lines in these negotiations very clear to the other side, and so we are continuing to see how these conversations go.
So that is Caroline Leavitt announcing that no formal extension of the ceasefire has been reached. Some more comments from her here as well about the next round of negotiations. Let's watch.
They would very likely be in the same place as they were last time, yes. With the same, I would just want to make one point that's important to the President. Pakistanis have been incredible mediators throughout this process, and we really appreciate their friendship and efforts to bring this deal to a close. So they are the only mediator in this negotiation. While there have been many countries around the world who want to offer their help, the President feels it's important to continue to streamline this communication through the Pakistanis, and so that's what.
So Caroline Leavitt indicating if there is another round of negotiations, those are expected to take place in Pakistan, in Islamabad, like they did before. And then last video from Caroline Leavitt talking about the situation in the Strait.
I will never set timelines on behalf of the President of the United States, but with respect to the blockade, as you know, it has been fully implemented, and it's being enforced against vessels of all nations entering or departing Iranian ports. I want to make that point clear. I've seen some misreporting on that as well. This includes all Iranian ports on the Arabian Gulf and the Gulf of Oman. And our U.S. forces in the region are supporting the freedom of navigation for vessels that are transiting the Strait to and from non-Iranian ports. So I know some in the press were confused about that. We are supporting the freedom of navigation, just not with respect to any tanker or vessel that would benefit the economy of Iran as these negotiations continue.
So again, making it clear, the blockade is meant to target just ships moving products in and out of Iran. And now WAPO further reporting, we talked about thousands of troops. Now the Boxer, the Marine Expeditionary Unit, or the MEU, I believe it is called, they have been on the move to the Middle East, the 11th Marine Expeditionary Unit, and they are expected to arrive at some point in April. It's not a very fast moving ship, but it has 4,200 sailors and Marines, and that is on top of the thousands of other Marines that we are rushing into, other ground troops we are rushing in as President Trump considers whether or not ground operations will take place. On that note of resources, yet again, more B-52 bombers are airborne. That is what you are seeing here on your screen. This is different from what we talked about earlier today. So more B-52 bombers are being positioned over in Europe in case this kicks off again. I do not know if this will kick off again. My hunch is that it probably will if negotiations continue to collapse, but it's a fluid situation and anything can come. On that note, the Israelis announcing that while there's a ceasefire, they're saying the Israeli army has been in a ceasefire status with Iran over the past few days in accordance with political level directives. We are closely and continuously monitoring the developments inside Iran in the ongoing negotiations process. I would like to emphasize that the Israeli army is fully prepared defensively and, if necessary, is ready to swiftly resume operations and carry out powerful strikes in Iran. So the Israeli military is saying that if this ceasefire ends, they will be ready to start the war again immediately. So as of me filming this update on April 15th, we have Iranian fighter jets in the air that have been scrambled. They are trying to prove to the world they still have Air Force capabilities. Again, we do not know if those MiG-29s were transferred from Russia into Iran during the ceasefire, or if we completely missed them during the bombing campaign. If we completely missed them, that is an oversight because, again, Trump and others said we got absolutely everything. You saw the videos and photos with your own eyes. We clearly didn't. They still have fighter jets. Negotiations remain ongoing, and the situation is dynamic. So I will continue to monitor it. As always, guys, let me know what you think in the comments below. Please make sure to like and subscribe. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you all next time.
এখান থেকে সবাই দেখান। ভাই প্রবাস জীবন অনেক কষ্টের ভাই, যারা কষ্ট সহ্য করতে পারেন তারাই আসেন প্রবাসে, আর যারা কষ্ট করতে না পারেন তারা প্রবাসে এসে চিন্তা ভাবনা করেন না ভাই। কষ্ট আছে, আপনি যতই আরামে থাকেন না কেন প্রবাস জীবনটাই কষ্টের। যত ভালো কাজই করেন, যত আরামের কাজই করেন না কেন প্রবাসে কষ্ট থাকি ভাই। তো গাইস আজকে এতটুকুই, অন্য আরেকদিন দেখা হবে। ভালো থাকবেন সবাই, গুড বাই।